Hey guys, so today's video is going to be a review and a demo using the Huda Beauty baking powder and the, what is this called? It's called the Easy Bake Loose Baking Powder and the Huda, I always want to say HudaBeauty. This is the Huda, whatever, OverAchiever concealer as well. I recently did a Huda, oh my gosh. I did a review of her foundation as well a few videos back, but I will link it up here just in case you missed it. You'll have to stay tuned for the end of the video to find out how I feel about these particular products, but spoiler alert, I'm very shocked at how I feel. I will say that much. This is not a first impressions as a result, and even before I filmed it, I had tried the product before. This is a full-blown review over having used the product about 4 or 5 times, I think, in total. I've tried it out. Anyway, before we get started, make sure you're subscribed if you are not. Check the down bar for links to all my social media platforms and hit the bell, and let's just get started. The foundation I'm wearing today is the Josie Maran Vibrancy foundation mixed with the Dior Forever foundation. I primed my skin using the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base, and I didn't use any pore minimizing or pore smoothing primers. Number one, because I don't actually feel like I need it when I use these two things together. You'll see why towards the end. And also, I can't be sure, but I think that pore minimizing primers, as of right now, because my skin's dry, it's like clinging to dry patches I didn't even know I had. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take the Huda Beauty Overachiever Concealer. Mine is in the color Cookie Dough. Just to give you a frame of reference of the type of concealers I prefer, Urban Decay Naked Skin is the concealer that I've used the longest. I think I've been using that for like 3 years now or something. I have more recently been kind of going hard in the paint for the NARS. I think it's called like the Soft Matte Cream Concealer. I'm completely obsessed with that one. I do not use Tarte Shape Tape, so I can't tell you how this is gonna compare. Tarte Shape Tape breaks me out horribly. It took me like way too long to figure out that that was happening because of that concealer. I can tell you so far this has not broken me out. I know I have a breakout right here on my forehead, which I keep getting breakouts on my forehead in between my eyebrows. It's the weirdest thing, but that's not from this. Like, I've used it enough to kind of know. So once again, starting off with the concealer, it comes in this little squeezy tube right here, and I have a conspiracy theory that she did this because on Instagram, you know, when people do their Instagram makeup tutorials, they just like drip things on their face. I'm sure she wanted like it to be applied straight from the tube, logo out. Smart. Also, she did this cool thing with the tip. It's a metal tip. If you suffer from puffy eyes ever, which I can definitely suffer from time to time, they can get that way from either lack of sleep, too much sodium, crying, allergies, things of that nature, where you're just looking like not very fresh or well rested. You can definitely just put like some spoons in the fridge and then just kind of lay them right here on your eyes and it will help with that. I use a face roller. I use the Nurse Jamie face roller. I got it from Sephora. I talked about it in a favorites video recently. And since it's like freezing in my house right now, it's always ice cold, so I just like roll my face out and it helps with lymphatic drainage. Anyway, all that to say, it is kind of a cool little feature that she put on here, but it's not gonna go over the surface of your skin enough for you to be able to really get the full benefit of something like that. Obviously, we're jumping right in. What I've noticed with this concealer is your best bet is to work quickly with it and apply it and then work it into the skin as quickly as you can. For me, this is just the best way to apply it, is to put it underneath one eye and then blend it out. As you can tell, crazy pigmented. Like, this is one of the more full coverage concealers I've used. Like I said, I know everybody else gets really crazy about Tarte Shape Tape because of how full coverage it is, but as I mentioned, I can't really go down that road because, I mean, it breaks me out hardcore. I have tried everything to make that concealer work. I even thought maybe that I was breaking out because I had like a bad batch or it expired, so I bought a brand new tube, and sure as ish, the breakout came a-calling. So this is the eye that we've already concealed. This is the one without concealer. The eye that I do not have any of the concealer on, I can still see a little bit of pigmentation underneath my eyes. I don't suffer with extremely blue or purple under eye circles, but I do have them. So I'm hoping on camera it's going to translate kind of how full coverage this is. Definitely gonna go ahead and apply this to the other eye. Okay, Okay, next I'm going to take the same concealer and put it here on my chin, a little bit on my Cupid's bow, in the center of my forehead, using a little bit of it on the back of my hand. With a concealer brush, I will take it down the center of my nose because I typically try to keep that line that goes down the center of my nose as thin as I can. With the applicator that's on the tube, that's not really gonna be an option. You like how I said make sure you blend it out as soon as you apply it, and then I proceed to do the exact opposite? Do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so now I've applied the concealer to all the areas of my face I would typically apply concealer. Because I'm feeling a little bit dry, I'm actually gonna quickly mist my face with the Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist and then just blend it out a little more. I'm not blending it out because it needs further blending as far as like the way it applies. I'm blending it out further because I just don't want to see like lines where my foundation and my concealer kind of come to be separate from each other. Does that make sense? So the texture of this foundation is not especially drying. I don't find it to be overly hydrating either. I think it's a nice balance in between. I don't have especially dry under eyes though, so I don't really, I mean, normally I don't. I do feel like my skin's dry right now, but typically I don't suffer like chronically with dry under eyes. The rest of my face, it's sitting very, very nicely on top of. Now, typically what I would do at this stage in my makeup is set the areas of my face that I applied concealer with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. I definitely do this like no matter what, but I'm definitely gonna do it before I bake. Lately, I haven't been baking because the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer that I've been, no, it's not the Radiant Creamy, it's the soft matte whatever, the one I was talking about in the beginning, that one is already pretty matte, so I don't have to apply any extra texture of powder on top of it. It just sits really nicely and doesn't need to bake in order to be long wearing and very flawless and airbrush. This is not a review for that concealer. I don't know why I'm going so in depth about that, but I just want you guys to know that because I love that concealer so much, I'm heavily comparing everything else to it. Will say there is something in this concealer, and especially in the concealer powder combo, that just makes your under eye area, or anywhere that you apply it for that matter, look like filtered and very flawless. Like, it's kind of amazing. I don't exactly know how it's being done that way, but it's gorgeous. And this color that I have right now for myself, the cookie dough shade, is beautiful. It's not too warm, too pink, too cool. It's like very neutral, and when it comes to foundations and concealers and things like that, that's what I gravitate towards, and that I think looks the most flattering on me is something that's neutral. I'm gonna set the remainder of my face with my Hourglass Veil powder. So I know that this can be used to set the entirety of your face as opposed to just using it for baking, but the nature of this powder and how pigmented it is, like, I would never do that. So I'm just gonna use it the way I would naturally use this product, which is, as I said before, baking. Side note, I forgot to mention this in the beginning of the video, probably because I'm starting to get used to this, but if you watched my HudaBeauty foundation review, I made a lot of comments about how heavily fragranced that foundation is, and the concealer and the powder have the same situation. So if you are especially sensitive to fragrances, this might not be for you. Like, I would totally advise against getting this if you are hypersensitive to fragrance. As I said before, I'm starting to get used to it. I've been using these products enough that I'm going nose blind. I'm going nose blind to it. But it's still like, I want to know why. Like, I want someone to explain to me why they put so much fragrance in this. Is it to cover up the smell of something else? Is it because they're trying to have like a signature scent situation, like how YSL does, for example? Like, I don't get it. Anyway, all that being said, let me stop complaining. I'm going to apply this underneath my eye. I'm taking the same beauty sponge I've been using the whole time. It's slightly damp. I'm only going to put it under my eyes. I'm not going to put it on the side of my nose or anywhere else yet because I have like a very particular nose contour routine, and you'll see what I mean later. I'll show you. So I'm just putting it underneath the eyes. Side with it, this is the side without it. The powder itself, the container it comes in, I'm not gonna lie, it's somewhere between like high-end and cheap. I know that sounds weird. So So it feels sturdy, but it reminds me a lot of the Maybelline Fit Me packaging, their loose powder. Packaging isn't something that's always going to deter people from buying a product, understandably so, but to me, like, as a makeup lover and a very, very enthusiastic consumer of it, I do enjoy nice packaging. It just kind of gives it like an entire experience vibe for me. I'm really packing this on because I want you guys to be able to see it on camera. I just went up my mouth and now my mouth tastes like this fragrance. Off camera, like if I wasn't doing a video, I would never apply this much, so hopefully I don't come to regret this decision. The instructions say to let this sit on the face for 3 to 5 minutes, and I'm actually gonna let it sit for 4. We're gonna time it and then dust it off. I don't ever time how long I bake for when I do. I couldn't even begin to guesstimate how long I normally let powder sit for because I haven't baked my makeup in such a long time. Oh my gosh, I'm covered in schmutz. Just for the sake of following instructions, that's what we're going to do. This has a really cool netting situation here on the powder, which is going to stop excess powder from like getting all over you and your loved ones, although obviously like I can't be helped because I'm still covered in powder anyway. Harkening back to what I was talking about, packaging, it seems very secure. The component is well put together, but in terms of like presentation and the fact that it is like a Sephora brand caliber of product, to be fair, how fancy schmancy can you really get with loose powder? Okay, so my timer just went off and I'm gonna go ahead and dust the excess powder off of my skin. I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, but my under eye area is very bright, very flawless, very full coverage, and very smooth. The ingredients say that there is dimethicone in this powder. Now, off the top of my head, I can't say whether or not that's a common ingredient in powder or not, but dimethicone is a type of silicone, which silicone is used in primers and things of that nature to smooth the appearance of the skin. So I'm assuming it's the silicone property inside of this powder that is giving me this kind of really flawless airbrushed look to the skin, and I'm here for it. I'm gonna contour my nose really quickly because I use baking powder in that process to make sure it's very sharp and very clean, so I'm gonna do that and then I'll be right back. Okay, my nose might be looking a little crazy, but I needed to kind of really do it large and in charge for the sake of the video. So once again, going back in with the HudaBeauty. That is hard for me to say for some reason. Every time I go to say it, I'm like HudaBeauty. I don't know, it's weird. I'm just gonna apply that down the very center of my nose and like the thinnest line I can realistically achieve. I will take a little bit of this powder and apply it just on the sides of my nose as well. Not gonna lie, I think I let my nose area baking hang out for the longest because that line down the center of my nose, like the brighter it is, the like thinner the overall appearance of my nose will look, hopefully. Not that I feel like I have a particularly large nose, but I've always said that if I'm gonna like contour everything like around my face, then having the center of it blank just doesn't look right to me. I don't know. While this is sitting, I'm gonna contour the rest of my face using my Charlotte Tilbury Bronze and Glow palette, like last leg. This guy, I've had this for over a year and it's almost completely done. It is genuinely the only contour product I have used, at least in memory, since then because I just love it so much. I'm gonna dust this baking powder off around my nose. I'm going to use my favorite bronzer. It's kind of like a bronzer combination, but I've been really into it. It's the Ambient Luminous Bronze Light from Hourglass mixed with the Patrick Star and Matte collaboration bronzer. I've said it in the most recent video that I did like a complexion situation in that I like the finish of this and the color of that, and when I mix them together it just creates like this really smooth, radiant, but pigmented and yet not so radiant that I look greasy or textured combo situation. I don't know. So now that I have like bronzer and a little bit more color on my skin, you can kind of like really see the brightness that this gave. Prior to applying my bronzer and contour, it probably all looked a little more uniform, a little more all one color, but now that we've added, you know, the zhuzh, you can definitely see how bright my under eye is, and I just, you guys, my skin never ever looked before as flawless and beautiful as it does with this particular regular concealer. I'm gonna take the Huda Beauty baking powder one more again and my beauty sponge, and I'm going to just clean up my contour. Now I would definitely never in a million squillion years leave this underneath my contour for 3 to 5 minutes because it's gonna brighten it up way too much. Really, I just do this to kind of clean up the underside of it and then I dust it away basically immediately. If I let this sit for too long or lighten up too much, I feel like what happens is I end up with like a hodgepodge of too many different colors on the face. Like it'll be a certain color underneath my eyes, and then a different color in the center of my face, and then a different color on the perimeter of my face, and then a different color right here. So like the goal is to make it as seamless as possible. I think I've had this on for 15 seconds and I'm gonna go ahead and dust it off. I don't have any highlighter on, I don't have my blush on or anything like that. I still need to do my lash line, lips, and all that good stuff, but I just wanted you guys to see where we are at this moment. In person, my skin looks flawless. It looks absolutely flawless. It looks smooth, it looks bright, it looks even, it looks filtered. Like, it's such a good combination. I can't stress enough. Like, I believe I told the Sephora associate that checked me out the day I bought all this stuff, she was like,
"Oh, do you just like love Huda Beauty? You have a lot of the complexion stuff here."
I was like, no, not only have I never used this, but I think I'm gonna hate it. And I'm just so wrong sometimes. Speaking of being wrong about stuff, I'm gonna take my new favorite setting spray, which is the Morphe Continuous Setting Spray. I'm just gonna spray this on and turn the camera off, straighten my hair, change my shirt, do the rest of my eye makeup, and I'll come back and finish the rest of the complexion and give you the rundown on this, even though I feel like I've been singing glowing praises for this the entire video. Regardless, I'll be right back. I tried to get all of this dog hair and schmutz off of me, but I can't. Like, what's done is done, so please don't judge me. I didn't feel like changing my shirt at this juncture because we are almost done. So anyway, I sprayed my face right before I turned the camera off. I am going to spray it one more time and let it dry and then move on with the rest of my complexion makeup. Now the reason I'm doing all of this stuff included with a concealer and powder review is because anytime I get a new product, especially like a skincare or skin related product I should say, I use it the way I use any other version of that same product that I enjoy, and from that I'll be able to tell things about it, like, okay, well now I know I can't use this concealer with certain powders, it gets too cakey. I can't use this baking powder with certain foundations because it's too heavy. Like, I have a system. So yeah, I'm just gonna spray myself one more time. I'm gonna apply my blush, which is the color Songbird from Becca Cosmetics. I feel like it's a really good like fall time blush. My friend Jacqueline was looking at this the other day and she lost her damn mind. She thought it was such a pretty color. Really extra with my highlighting situation lately, so go ahead and just don't judge me. The first thing I'm going to do is take the ambient lighting powder from Hourglass in the color Dim Light. This is very close to my skin tone and it's not crazy shimmery, but it just has a nice glow to it. So I'm going to just take that on a fluffy brush and buff this all over my skin. I do this step because what it does is it blurs all of the lines that I have going on with my skin between my blush, my bronzer, my contour, and then the glow, like the subtle glow that it has, gives my skin such a beautiful like soft focus finish. A lot of these like little detailed tricks that I do in my complexion routine, you just can't see on camera. But in person, like, it makes the world of a difference. I'm gonna take my ambient lighting highlighting palette, and I'm gonna have to get another one soon because I am almost completely out of this thing. It is probably the makeup product, if I had to say, that I've repurchased the most. This is my 4th palette like this. I think I need to order the holiday sets that came out this year and see if like they're similar so I can just be like stocked up on Hourglass powders, because Hourglass powders are literally my favorite product in all of cosmetics. There, I said it. I'm gonna apply the lightest shade of this right here on my cheeks. Everywhere I'm gonna highlight, it's like a highlight primer, if you will. I don't put a lot of it because I'm also gonna go in with the Catrice Champagne Campaign highlighting powder, which is another thing that I would say is one of the best products in cosmetics. Then just on the very high points of my cheeks, I'm going to go in with the most blinding highlighter I own, which is the Anastasia and Omrezi highlighting powder. I can't take these really blinding highlights into this area of my face because I have texture there, so I just put it like here on the sides of the face, which you once again won't be able to see on camera, but in person are very pretty. And then you guessed it, I'm gonna spray myself one more time. I'm gonna turn the camera off and apply lips really quickly, and then I will be right back. This shirt is making me look like such a ragamuffin right now. Please don't judge me. It was actually hanging on a hanger in my closet forever. It was just like a sweater that I bought to wear around the house, so don't ask me why I had it hanging on a hanger. It's not even the clothes that I wear like in public do I bother to hang on hangers. But anyway, as a result, this little pointy situation I got going on my shoulders right now, can't do anything about it, and it's covered in dog hair and powder, but whatever. Let's wrap this thing up. So at this point, you guys have seen me do pretty much my entire complexion routine with the exception of my foundation. So you know, like I got product on my skin. We have foundation, we have a setting powder, we have a baking powder, we have another setting powder, we have bronzer, we have contour, we have highlight, we have blush, all of the things. Even with all of that, this concealer and this baking powder still look really smooth and really, really beautiful underneath my eyes. As I said in the beginning of the video, this is not a first impressions. I have worn this many, many times and I'm pretty much in awe of how much I love it. And the big thing that was really going to determine whether or not this is going to be something I wear regularly or would recommend to you guys was going to be whether or not it broke me out. And thus far, 4 or 5 days into using this, I have had no issues with breakouts outside of like what I'm always experiencing. Pros and cons for each thing. The concealer, to me, actually this is true with both of the products, I feel like the packaging is a little bit subpar. I know tons of people could care less about the packaging. It's certainly not going to deter me from using it because of how much I enjoy the product, but for like how much you're paying for it, it does surprise me that it's not a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. However, the way the packaging contains the product, the way it dispenses the product, all of those things, it's very, very well done. I so far haven't had any issues with leaking with the concealer. I haven't had any issues with it not getting out enough product or too much. Like, it's pretty decent. And like I said, the cool thing about the concealer is that metal tip and how it does offer a slight cooling, therefore slightly depuffing situation underneath the eyes, but it's not going to be like a life-changing thing because you're not going to let it sit there long enough. Anyway, I'm just saying. Powder, same thing. I do like that it's pretty compact and sleek, so it's gonna make traveling with it pretty simple. I do like the netting that kind of contains your powder, and there's actually also a little plastic lid that sits on the inside of the actual packaging lid, so that's even further gonna protect your product. I just lost mine because, as I said, I've been using this quite a bit lately. Cons for the powder, I honestly don't have any with the exception of the smell, especially because today, like, as I was putting it underneath my eye, I kind of like inhaled some of it and it's so fragrant. It's just banana sandwich. Like, I really want to know what the skinny behind the fragrance is. Like, I'm entirely too curious. For baking alone, this is hands down, no questions asked, the best baking powder I have ever used, and the combination of these two together is the best under eye baking concealer powder combination I've ever used, and I've tried so many things. So that's saying a lot, especially because, like I said, didn't think I was gonna like this stuff at all. Overall, I would give the concealer, I'll say I'm gonna take half a point off of each product for the fragrance, because I mean, I took like 1.5 points off for the foundation, but now I think that was also because it's just not as remarkable to me as the concealer and the powder. So in closing, I would give the concealer a 4.5 and I would give the powder a 4.5 as well. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you thumbs up if you did enjoy this video. Check the down bar for links to all my social media platforms, and I'll see you in the next one.